So today what I will do is I will cover all the workforce compensation plan configuration part. Yeah. Okay, so let's begin from last week's session. So as I told you, these are the roles associated with compensation. We have compensation administrator role, compensation manager role, line manager role, HR specialist role. So these we had a detailed discussion last week. You can just go through before you start the compensation plan configuration. Okay. So these are the different tasks associated with workforce compensation. That is workforce lookups are there, but main lookups and settings are there. Global compensation setting, manage elements, so all factors come here. The main thing which we will be using is manage compensation plan to compensate workforce compensation. Next, this is the workforce compensation worksheet for how the manager will look at the screen. So if you see the tabs which I mentioned, reward, promote, approve, also communicate, these are all configured in configuration worksheet display option. Yeah. So there when we go, we will just see how it has worked. And similarly, for each tab, there is one summary portion available and the worksheet portion available. So summary columns which we want to have, we can do it in the worksheet display configuration page, whichever column you want to display, or if you want to hide certain column, we can hide it. So that option is available. Thank you, feature and skipping it. Just skipping these points, we'll start from the configuration part. So what are the details which are covered in the workforce compensation plan? This is the end-to-end setup for workforce compensation plan. So we begin with foundation, where we have the plan details to be configured. In this, we just capture the information about the plan, frequency, analyzing factor, and what is the hierarchy. Hierarchy is where you decide what is the process for approving the worksheet or allocating the compensation. Manager hierarchy is nothing but normal hierarchy in the instance. This is plan eligibility. Similarly, I don't have to click much about this one. You are aware of eligibility concept. I'm just skipping to that. Next is plan cycle. So where we configure the dates that are associated with this compensation, workforce compensation, where we have the evaluation period. That is nothing but for which period you want this compensation plan to be configured. It may be annual, it may be biannual. Mostly companies go for annual evaluation period. So it can be 1st Jan 2014 to 31st December 2014, or it can be the financial year, that is 1st April 2014 to 31st March 2015. So that is the evaluation period. Plan access start and end date is when the manager can access the plan, whether it is during the end of the period, that is end of the evaluation period, or is it 2 months before the evaluation period, that way. Generally it is done in that way. Even worksheet update, it can be done when do you want to update that. So I have the worksheet, the plan available for throughout the year. But when do I want the manager to touch it and change the values? I can decide that plan. So if it is from 1st Jan to 31st December, I will try to put it as 1st of December. I want every manager to allocate compensation from 1st of December onwards, so that by December I will be able to get the allocated amount for all the worker. I can complete the process in the month of December. So that is that option. HR extraction date. This is like when do you want the HR data to flow from HR to compensation. the limit. I mean, here you will restrict. I mean, if a person leaves the organization, I want the leaving information to reach compensation only on so and so date. So that way it will be described. So I'm briefing this part because it is like, this is one of the important concepts. I mean, we have a scenario where we configure all the configuration and everything we completed without knowing the date concept. People tend to, don't get the worksheet in the manager's display. There are 3 to 4 items we have to look into when we are running the compensation worksheet or the plan. What happens is, once the compensation plan runs completely, you won't find that in the manager's page. So there are certain reasons. I mean, few reasons are either the eligibility would not be covered, that particular manager will not be eligible. I mean, eligible for compensation itself. So he won't be able to allocate also. That will be one reason. Second reason is this, that is dates. If the plan access date is after the evaluation period or something, then the person won't be able to see. And even if the plan date is, 1 year later than my current date, I won't be able to see it today. Yeah. So those are the scenarios we have to take care. And other than that, yes, another thing is that particular manager may not be a work, what to say, a planning manager, that is who will be able to give compensation. So that doesn't come in this demo session. When we have some fast formulas configured for defining the compensation hierarchy, manager hierarchy, in that scenario, certain manager may not be a manager to provide compensation for the subordinate. On the other, in the other word, you can say he is not a worksheet manager. Then eligibility determination date, this is similar to HR data extraction date. You will get the eligibility profile till the date you have mentioned in this one. Currency conversion, performance rating, these are not mandatory dates, but if you want, you can mention it here. A planned currency is nothing but you can select any currency in which you want to display the the compensation allocated amount. The last 2 points are very much important. Currency switching is for display purpose only. That is, approved awards are posted in each worker's local currency only. If using budgets are managed in the corporate currency. If we are using corporate currency as US, budgeting everything will be done in US currency, and the allocate whatever the amount you allocate or anything that will be display. That will be covered under local currency only. Yeah. Then is plan access. Who all you want the plan access? Who all can access the plans? One is there are 2 places where you can access. One is workforce compensation worksheet area, and another is compensation worksheet work area. So these are the 2 places where you can see the compensation. So you can just restrict or allow person to access the compensation work area or workforce compensation work area based on the plan access restrictions. And another thing is feedback survey, where you can ask a manager to provide feedback about the compensation plan that has been designed by the compensation administrator or compensation manager. So here you can either use the rating model, or you can have maximum up to 5 questions to define. Ask survey questions to be asked to the manager, so that the managers can revert on those questions, and based on their feedback, you can give do any improvement in the compensation plan. Most of the clients don't go for this because they've already designed the plan, so they don't want to have any feedback from the managers. And even when we started learning this, even I felt that few of us are thinking that why is it God? When I already configured, I have spent so much money in configuring everything and designing everything. Why would I ask the line manager how is the compensation plan? But still, it is important.
We actually use it, but in EBS, but
Okay.
there's also an option to ask for feedback.
Yeah. Okay. So, but have you come across any clients using it?
No, never actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. So, okay, then now we have covered these topics. Now let's begin with the budget option. Just give me 2 minutes, Tushar. So this is the budgeting. Even budgeting we covered last session during the last session.
Yeah.
I'll just take you through. Okay, budget. So here we saw what are the different kind of budgeting methods and how they are stored or how they are published, and everything that will be more described when we just allocate the budgets or initiate the budget and all. So that we will learn it in the front end when we do those configurations. So we have two things like manager level budgeting and worker level budgeting. Manager level budgeting distribute budgets to the lowest level manager. For example, what happens is once a CEO allocates the budget, that is manager level budgeting, so it will trickle down to all the other managers till the last level of manager. So till the manager who is below whom there is no person as a manager, till that person it goes, the budget goes on, and at that point, the last manager can allocate manually the budget to, the compensation amount to his subordinate. So that way it is designed. Worker level budgeting is from bottom to down, which bottom to up, bottom to top scenario where we calculate the total budget amount based on the overall, salary of the workers. So some percentage or some, calculation based on that, we calculate the overall budget for worker level budgeting.
But I
Budget
don't think anyone,
publishing,
sorry, I
yeah,
don't
please.
think anyone uses this worker level budgeting.
No, nothing. No, I have never come across. It is just
Yeah,
a concept till
it will
now.
be strange because you're like you
Yes,
don't know how much, but you just keep adding and adding, and then in the end you see that it's 5% or 6%, and
exactly.
then it's not. It's only 3%. So
Yeah, that's correct. It is not used actually. Uh, Now, next is publishing the budget. You can have two options, whether to automatically publish it or you can do it by, manually. And then budget units. You can give, there is a place where you can select a default value to the budget where you can directly put the amount rather than calculating it. You can directly put that amount as a budget component in the budget plan. It will directly go and sit in each manager's place of budget. So it can be done as that process, or you can also have a fast formula defined to calculate the budget options.
yeah,
Then, and again, we have two concepts like over allocation. A certain amount can be, a manager will be able to give certain percentage more than what budget is available. So that restriction also can be given here in budgeting and also for allocating the compensation. Page layout, we saw what are the details that are required for page layout and all. Similar concept of page layout we will be getting for this one, components also, when we configure the components part.
yeah.
Okay. Now this activities, so we have completed these activities and all, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's see the compensation. Compensation worksheet configuration, everything. So in this configuration of compensation worksheet, we have certain things you need to configure in this one. So few things are like configure compensation components. You can configure performance rating, configure approvals, configure compensation change statement, alerts, and also finally configure worksheet display. So these are the tasks under the worksheet task list. Yeah. So the budgets which are created, it is used here to link a component with the budget pool. So let's go to the instance first so that we give the samples better. So we are under this particular task list, that is worksheet. So I'm going into compensation component task. So it is not mandatory, but without using this component, there is no purpose of creating this compensation plan.
Yeah.
I don't know why they have kept it as non-mandatory one. So this is how you create a compensation component. So if you see in the create option, you will have the budget pool that you need to link with this component. So what happens is here it is the sequence which you will be selecting. You'll give the name component like merit increase or lump sum bonus or whatever it is. Display order. So where do you want this compensation to place? If I have 5 components available, if I want this one to be first, so I will just put it as 1 or 10, whatever it is, based on this one. And here it is better to have corporate currency.
Yeah.
So next is whether it is a non-monetary or monetary. If you use stock options and all, you can make it as shares or units, etc. Since it's a monetary thing. So here I have not added any budget pool or anything, so I'm not getting a display. So here whichever budget pool it is linked to, I can have it.
Okay.
And apart from that, there is another component as primary. This is primary. If you have 2 or 3 budgets allocated, 2 or 3 components linked with single budget, you have to keep one particular one particular component as a primary component for budgeting. The reason is if you have 2 components like merit increase and merit lump sum, what happens, I select both the components, but I don't know how I will calculate the budget for that. So in that scenario, what happens is, if you click any of one component as a primary a component for budgeting, then that particular component's eligible workers' salary, etc., will be calculated to form the budgeting. Are you clear? Any doubt in this?
No. So let me repeat if I got it right or wrong. So if, for example, this is a salary increase and there's one more bonus, and if you select a salary increase as a primary component for budgeting, the system will calculate if there are, let's say, 1,000 employees, it will calculate salaries, and then it says the budgeting for these employees is so much.
Correct, exactly. So based on the eligibility profile of the primary component.
Yeah.
So it won't consider both the components eligibility profile, it will only calculate the primary components workers details as for calculating the budget. So another concept, main important concept in this component is eligibility profile. We have eligibility profile at plan level, that is in the second task, remember?
Yeah.
We created eligibility profile and added, that is for entire plan level. Whereas this eligibility for each component. For example, I would be eligible for this entire plan, but I may not have salary increase this year.
Yeah.
So for that I can specify eligibility. But if I have bonus component also configured, I may be eligible for bonus component but not for merit increase.
Yeah.
So in that scenario, this is used. And another thing is the eligibility profile at this level will override the eligibility profile which is mentioned at the plan level.
Yeah.
So this you have to remember.
It's the same in EB as well.
Exactly, correct.
So I have a question here.
Yes, please.
Now that you say you can split your budget based on the components, number of components you have. So
Correct.
the salary is the primary component, and the budget is say 3% of your whatever per year.
Correct.
And how is it split then? If they have more than one component for budgeting.
See, if you want, that's again, that is dependent upon the client's requirement. If they want budget to be allocated differently for both one based on their eligible workers, you have to create two budget pools.
Okay.
If you want to be shared among same component itself, then they can have same budget pool and allocate it. That's the only thing.
So it divides in 50-50. You have two.
Correct. It will divide. See, two things. For example, let me give you this scenario. Like one is salary increase, one is lump sum bonus or something. So what the company normally decides is they want to have salary increase as the primary component because salary increase will cover maximum employees.
Yes.
So that way they will just calculate budgeting for the salary increase itself rather than giving separate this one budget pool for lump sum. So they just created for this one. If it is 5% of the entire overall worker salary, based on that they will calculate and give the percentage. And one more thing, it is not necessary that whoever is eligible for compensation, they must all should be compensated.
Yeah.
That is also there. So based on that,
because we have here, like what we are doing now, right now, what I'm doing is we have a budget for salary.
Okay.
There is no budget for bonus. Bonus is based on the target. Target and your individual target. So that way, as you said, it's easy to split because the budget is only allocated for one component.
Correct.
But if there is more than one component within the salary, like say salary or a one-time review or increment for everyone on top of the salary or whatever you want to call it, it's part of the salary component, not the budget component. Yes, that's when the complication gets, that's when it gets a little complicated because it's the same budget and then you have to split again. Major portion, the major portion goes to salary component and only like probably 20% of the allocated budget probably goes to the increment or whatever.
Increment, correct. You're absolutely right. I mean, that's still, if you see, even the budget pool concept is not mandatory. If you in your company, if you want to configure that, I can have the budget pool for merit increase with the budget of, based on the salary of the employees and link it there. Whereas for bonus, I will just leave this budget pool blank.
Yeah.
So that's it. So in that scenario, I can directly allocate, manually allocate without worrying about the budget pool.
Okay.
And that's all. So that's the reason even budgeting in this compensation is not a mandatory one. As I told you, I worked for one company named Helkova that didn't want to configure this budget. So we just had a discussion with them, and they told that we don't want to make it from the this one instance. We will allocate it. Look after this budget amount outside this one, outside this instance. Like it, there is only one person. Few people as compensation administrators. They will allocate the total amount based on the management discussion. Based on that calculation, they will just design the Excel sheet based on the allocation method what they are asking for, and then they just use the spreadsheet loader to completely load those things. So that's it. So they don't want the budget to be configured in this Fusion. So budget concept was nil there. They just use the components for configuring this budget. Configuring this workforce compensation.
Okay.
And another thing is like the question which you asked, like why do they want to split it? Maybe it can be a scenario where they may use budget for 10% of the overall salary of the complete employees. When they give allocation of salary increase, they will try to put it like 1 to 5%.
Yeah.
In that way they can do, and remaining amount, if they are available, if they want to give, they can use it for lump sum bonus or one-time bonus.
Yeah.
That still, whatever calculation will get what they have decided to give, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if I am like you, for you it's easy because you're working for a vendor, you're a vendor and you're working for a company, for a client,
Yeah.
so you set it up for the client. But in my case, it's a bit
Yes.
different because I'm doing this
Yeah.
internally, and I know exactly
Correct.
how things work internally, so that's even more painful.
You don't have any choice.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I have full control of everything what I'm doing. How about giving myself? But
Perfect.
my manager keeps pulling my leg. Give yourself, try giving yourself a little more than what I give
That's
you.
that's the only way we can get happy, right? Even we do this here when we have the client instance for testing and all, we try to give maximum amount of salary which we want to give it to ourselves.
Yeah. It's so it's so ironical because I set up everything, I do everything, I know everything from what I'm doing, and then there comes a stage where my manager is reviewing, and he's like, this is a one-time activity for him every year, so he gets lost. So he calls me, Prashant, come in. So he'll call me in and he'll ask me to show how things work, and then I'm showing him the worksheet. He's like, I say, well, maybe you can give a little more. He's like, I know you've designed it. I know everything. I know you know everything inside it, but I can only give so much to you because of the restrictions.
But one suggestion I can give you, Prashant, what you can do is you can set up a security or a condition like this. If you are not given more than 50%, the worksheet will error for your manager.
As an
That way you
exception, eh?
that way you can tell him that he would say,
Yeah.
no, it is not working. You can tell him that you gave me 60%, it will work fine.
Hey, definitely. That's a good idea, actually.
You can try that out once. Yeah, let's get into this topic. Okay, did you attend this one, core HR? You didn't, right?
No, because as I said,
Okay,
I was
okay.
trying my hands on core HR.
Okay,
I
okay, okay,
understand a little bit of it.
okay.
Now, after that, you explained on the first day,
Uh-huh.
it's a lot better now.
Okay,
Because I
great,
was
great.
confused between the legal entity and the enterprise and that stuff.
Okay, okay, okay.
That's the only confusion I had because everything else is quite similar to EBS.
Yes,
So
correct.
everything fell in place for me pretty easily.
Okay,
But
good.
yeah, now I think I'm pretty much comfortable HCM also, HR
That's
also.
nice. That's nice. And what about the interview? Any update on that?
Yeah, I've got two more calls actually last week. I said
Okay,
I
that's
cannot take
really
an
nice.
interview this week because I'm really busy at work, so probably
Okay,
they'll talk to
okay.
me. I don't know even if it's possible next week because
Okay, okay, I understand.
the users are still testing and now with the new change, we have to develop everything next week.
Mm-hmm.
And one
Okay.
of the guys who I work with for compensation, he was ill
Mm-hmm.
yesterday, so
Okay.
he didn't come to work yesterday. So I hope he comes back on Monday.
Okay,
Just
okay,
the weather here is really weird now. So
okay.
people are really falling sick left, right, center. So it's
Mhm.
really crazy. Now, it actually is snowing now.
Okay, okay, great. So
It's minus
when have
7.
you, sorry, oh my God.
Yeah.
Mm. So when are they planning to implement this on cloud? Why do they want to
I
go to cloud when they're already
I
using it?
don't know,
Any?
Sanjay, because we are now. No, we don't know because in my company they don't know what's the plan
Mm-hmm.
because they have acquired another company,
Okay, okay, okay.
local telecom. Because we are a telecom company, we have
Uh-huh.
acquired a competitor.
Okay, okay.
So they're still in the process of merging these two.
Oh, oh, okay.
So in Netherlands, it works pretty differently when it comes to the providers,
Acquisition?
providers, because it's regional. In this region, there's one government provider. It's called KPN, which is run by the government. It's available in the entire country, and there are different providers like we have UPC, and Zigo. There are two different providers, big providers. So they are being compartmentalized. So Zigo can only provide in these areas. UPC can provide in these areas.
Oh, they are divided among companies, regions.
Yeah, it's not. You cannot overlap. That's how Netherlands rules work. But now, like we have been owning UPC for almost 15 years now. So Liberty Global has acquired Zigo now. So UPC and Zigo will become under one brand.
So they can share it. That's okay.
Yeah, but they are now really working on, because Zigo also uses Oracle.
Okay.
Part of it is on 12. We have some on release 12 and some on 11i, and so they are still working out the logistics of how to bring all together. So there's no clear picture yet.
Okay.
So that's the reason I'm getting frustrated, because there's not much to do for me here.
I understand.
And I don't like sitting idle.
Okay. In this one, cloud, I mean, in UK, I mean, it is yet to pick up. That is what I heard even now. It's not come up even. It is only in US that is going and happening.
I'm only getting calls for things in the UK. There's nothing in Netherlands for fusion, of course, for CM at least. So I'm getting calls. I've got two calls for fusion. One in the UK and the second one was in Dublin, I think.
Okay.
But I don't know.
I once got a call on the month of November. One lady called me and she told that she needs a resource for HCM to work from remote, from offshore. So they had that model available. So, it is apart from my current job, though it is legally not accepted in India, but still I accepted it.
It's India, so anything is possible.
Until it is known. If it is known that will be then they bought in this. I was okay with that, but later on, this month, early this month, at least she showed a courtesy to call me and inform that it is not picking up very well in UK, so they have dropped the plan as of now to have a offshore team and to develop in Fusion. But in future, if it comes, she told she will let me know about it.
Yeah.
So it's like.
But I got a call the other day. For something. It's an Oracle competitor. So.
Okay.
So they said it doesn't matter if you have Oracle experience or PeopleSoft experience or any other ERP product. They want looking for someone. So that's the one I got a call last week for. I said I'm pretty busy right now. Probably I'll speak to you a week later, because I'm really up to my head in workload. So this is my busy period of the year.
Okay. And one more thing, nowadays the scenario is got like, initially it was like if you have Fusion experience, you can come to interview. But now they have become more particular. They're asking for either EBS knowledge or PeopleSoft knowledge.
Yeah.
Nowadays they have started in India at least. I don't know about UK. But in India they have started. They prefer people with knowledge in Fusion and also either EBS or PeopleSoft along with Fusion.
EBS or PeopleSoft preferred.
Yes, correct. But when you try to get the interview details and all, they try to ask that they want experience in EBS or PeopleSoft. But it is only about India which I'm telling about. Nowadays all are asking for EBS or anything else. EBS or PeopleSoft.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's get into this one, conferring composition. So in the budget pool component, we have linked a budget pool to a component to track worker allocation against that budget. When multiple components share the same budget pool, one component must be a primary component for budgeting. That's what we discussed. If each component has different eligibility requirement, the total of eligible salaries of the eligible population of the primary component is used for budgeting. So it's clear?
Let me read again. So
Yeah,
each
please.
component has different eligible. Yeah. The total of eligible salaries of eligible population. The family. Okay. Yeah.
The same thing which
Yeah.
we were discussing about. So this is about the other certain parts of component configuration. Local currency determines from where each worker's local currency is obtained and what currency compensation is posted. And for salary components, the best practice is to use salary basis currency so that salary adjustment post to each worker's salary record is same currency as the base salary record.
Yes.
Yes, it is like I told that to select corporate currency. I mean, normally it is we use it as corporate currency. We don't because we didn't configure for any other country. It is only for US we were doing it. So we used to have it as corporate currency itself. But if you have multiple country configuration, it is advised to select the salary basis currency
Yeah. We
to
have
for
it
the
here.
this one. Okay, okay, okay.
Euro. It used to be US dollars because the headquarters are US dollars.
US, okay,
That's in the US. But I
okay.
changed the entire plan because there were a lot of changes. So when I said like
Uh-huh.
Europe is your European headquarters, Netherlands is your European headquarters, and they are driving the entire system is set up based on Netherlands. So they changed the
Okay,
corporate
okay,
currency to euro, and then we have UK and Netherlands and Romania, Poland, all these countries.
okay. Oh, okay, great, okay. But there is one more option in this one. I mean, I will let you know. Okay, let's cover this. For lump sum payment, the best practice is to use element input currency so that the correct. This is what I was about to say. That
Yeah.
the best practice is to use element input currency so that the currency used to pay the bonus matches the input value currency used to pay.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I had a scenario in Alcoa. They had for around 32 countries. They had the same plan, but for lump sum payment alone, they used the, currency for based on the different this one countries.
Yeah.
So this is where you can change it. So this place, I will let you know in worksheet display, one place you have to link either salary if it is salary increase, or you have to increase, link a element if it is a one-time payment or some bonus or something like that. So we will find it there when we configure those parts. Then we have configuration consideration. What are the things you have to consider before you configure the components? Component number refers to the set of component columns you configure for the worksheet layout. Okay, and display order. Okay, this is part of next one. Let me get it. One second. Okay. Component. So after the components, the next option will be. Let me keep it as no. Using performance rating.
Mm-hmm.
This I already informed about it, but still, I'll
Yeah.
just capture certain information on this one. See, it is not mandatory to have the performance rating in compensation itself, but if you plan to have it, then this is the way you have to do. Just put a test. There are three options that are available: either to use the performance rating from the performance document itself,
Mm-hmm.
or use performance rating separately for compensation, or if you want, you can select both.
Yeah.
So let me see one by one. If I'm selecting integrate with Oracle Fusion performance management, so in that scenario, remember we created performance template for performance document creation and performance document type. So here is where, if you see, I'm just taking your own document. So performance template, I don't think there was multiple document type for that. So that is the reason it automatically selected this particular document type. So when after the evaluation status for that particular performance document is completed, you will be getting the rating here. So if what happens is another concept here uses, if I don't select any template, what does it happen? So what happens is, we have a scenario with a current client named Subaru, where they have different documents for different employees based on the grade. So what happens is, from example, from grade 1 to 3, they might have one performance document, and they evaluate the employees from 1 to grade with single document. Whereas for grade 3 and above, they're using different performance document. So in that scenario, what happens is, if I want to link only one document, I can do that. But here the employees are having two different documents. Correct? So in this place, I won't be able to select that. So what happens is, if I leave this blank, so in performance management, what happens is, once the rating is given for the employee, that will be a display in multiple places. Remember, it displays in talent review, it displays in the profile management, and the career page or educational qualification page. Remember, which I showed you also where all it displays under. Similarly, so that latest rating of an employee also gets reflected in this column if I configure this like this. So in this scenario, when we are using two or more documents, you don't have to select any template here.
Okay, so it defaults to the template.
Exactly.
The document type links to the employee's record.
That is recently rated.
Okay.
So that is what it happens. So this we found out only recently when we had this scenario. But before that, we were not doing anything like this. We just used to select the template, because normally employees go for annual performance document for every employees with single document. There never used to be multiple documents for employees.
This is interesting and new.
Yeah, that's what we got it to know only this time when we were working for this project, because even we were trying out how to calculate it. How to, attach those things and all. We were really confused. Then we worked out this way and it was working fine. So this is an important thing. Okay, this is for linking the performance with this one, performance management with Fusion. Now let's see, if I don't want to use performance management, what will I do? So this is the second option. What happens here? I'm using compensation performance rating. Again, as I told you before, this compensation or talent management modules are available separately for clients to select. They can either select both without core HR as a coexistence model, or they can select either talent management or compensation management as a coexistence model with either eBiz or PeopleSoft. So in this scenario, when a client is going on for only compensation module, I don't have the talent management module linked with it. So in that scenario, if they want to rate the employees in the compensation worksheet also, so they will select this option. So what happens is, I select this option. So, but for rating, I will just create a rating model or link a rating model which is already available in my system. So remember, this rating model is always part of profile management, and profile management is part of common configurations. So it will be available for core HR, talent management, or for compensation management. So in that, you can directly create the profile rating model and just attach that rating model in this one. So when the compensation worksheet opens, the manager will have column named this performance rating. He can select the rating from this particular list of rating models. And another scenario, if they want to have both, one column will there be, it will be available for them from the performance management itself, and second, they will be having a rating column from compensation perspective.
Yeah.
So this is about performance rating. Just brief about it. If you consider performance ratings when allocating compensation, you can display ratings from organization performance management or rate workers during a workforce compensation cycle. So this is the same thing used. Display performance management rating. If you're selecting that, display performance ratings given in performance management. Provide access to the full performance document from within the worksheet. Select the performance document template, the performance period to make available, and whether to display only completed ratings or ratings in any status. Update overall performance rating, overall goal rating, and overall competency rating in the worksheet. Okay, this last line is nothing but, remember when we were doing this talent management, we used to have different sections.
Yeah.
One is for goal section, one is for competency section, and we also had one for overall rating.
Yeah.
So overall rating is the final rating given to an employee.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the rating normally displays everywhere in the every places. But in the compensation, if you want to have certain particular rating for either for goals or for competency, you can also select those ratings also coming up there.
Mm-hmm.
So that option is also available when you go into this worksheet display option. So I will let you know where it comes up. Next is rate workers within workforce compensation. Managers rate workers as they allocate compensation. Ratings are used within only the current compensation plan and cycle. They are not transferred to HR or performance management. Yes. So this is one of the thing. As I told you, like performance rating, when you give it, will get displayed in talent review everywhere, right? But this rating, which you give it in compensation worksheet, doesn't go anywhere. It is available only for compensation.
Okay.
So it remains there. It doesn't display anywhere else. So select a rating model to use. Edit an existing rating model, create a new one. And that is the button you had for manage rating models.
Mm-hmm.
Then select the method to rate performance by selecting the rating from a list of value based on the rating models which you selected. Designating the number of stars to present the workers rating. So again, the rating in the rating model, the star option is available. If you want to give star rating to be available, you can select that option. So in that case, when you have rating set in the compensation worksheet, it can have star model also, or you can have it as numbers, etc. That's not mainly a concept of compensation, but it is concept of profile management.
Okay.
The next is approvals. Let's see that particular page. Okay, let me change it to no. Let's go to the next page. This is approvals. See, here there are two options like approval mode, approve anytime, and next is submit mode. Submit anytime. If you see the options which are available, manager first submit. Okay. If I am a manager, I have a subordinate below me and one more manager above me. Until my manager approves, I won't be able to, submits his this one worksheet, I won't be able to submit if I select the first option. Okay.
Yeah.
If it is approve anytime, What it means is I can approve whenever I want, submit the this one approval this thing whenever I want. Manager can do at whatever time he prefers. So that is for approval mode. Similarly for submit mode, that is submit anytime and all managers must be approved. So that means the a manager above me has to approve on the submit worksheet. Only then I will be able to submit it. Submitting the worksheet. So these are the options available. First one is for approval, second is for submitting it. So normally it is like approve anytime and submit anytime. Any doubts in this, Prashant?
No.
Okay. So another option is alternate approver. So what happens is, if there is a compensation going on, so, plan is going on and all the managers are available to do the compensate the employees. What happens if a particular manager goes on for vacation or is not well, or he has been terminated and he resigned, or what happens? In that scenario, for one particular manager, what I can do is create an alternate approver. So what happens is, just go here. What is the name of manager? Just give me this test. So worksheet manager. If I am the worksheet manager, if I resign the company, so what the this one, the compensation administrator or the compensation manager can do is, he can select my name here, select it, put it as any number, and select the alternate approver.
Okay.
So the other manager, for him, in his worksheet, he will be able to find my subordinates details so that he can rate them. So this is to configure alternate approvers.
Okay.
Clear on this?
Mm-hmm.
So that is the purpose the alternate approver is coming in. How does it happen for EBIS, Prashant?
In the EBS, it's called Worksheet Manager. So when you open, once the plan is already, once you run the cycle, when the plan is open for the manager before that let out, it's like how you said that the manager is unavailable.
Okay.
So you can open the plan, you can go to employee administration from as a compensation administrator. You open, and then in the employees plan sheet at the bottom, there's an option for worksheet manager where you can actually switch the manager.
Switch the manager. Okay. Good. I got it.
Or you can select an option to go get the approval from the higher manager.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So the concept is same, but it is done in different ways, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see about the approvals. Specify the timing when managers submit their worksheet for approval and approve the lower manager's worksheet. This is what it is given in the approvals. The hierarchy type defined for plan determines the approval hierarchy. Correct. So this, if you see the hierarchy type, it is defined in the plan details. You remember? In the plan details, we selected the hierarchy, approval hierarchy, where we selected manager hierarchy, or formula, or whatever it is. So this, the hierarchy which which is decided in this approvals is based on the hierarchy you have selected in the plan details. So it is that hierarchy that is available in approvals right now. But if you want to select alternate manager, you can use this option. I showed you in the screen to select the alternate manager. So that is what it is said here. So approval mode, that's what we saw. Approve anytime, or manager must first approve. Then again there is submit mode. You can go for submit at any time, and all managers must be approved. So these are the two options which are selected. But normally client goes for approve anytime and submit anytime.
That's the amount of flexibility we would love to have.
Exactly. Now this is compensation change statement. This is nothing but informing the employees about their change in salary or information about allocation of bonus and all. So how this is captured. See this. Till now we have not used this. I mean, at least in my project. Normally technical people do this, but I have not worked on this particular change statement option. See here, what happens is you need to create a group for this particular thing. Let's go to the topic and then come back here. This enables managers to generate compensation statements for their workers by associating a plan with a statement group. Make different sets of statements available for different plans or plan period. Specify the statement timing and output format. This is nothing but if you go there, manage statement group, you'll be able to select create a statement group and add template for that particular statement group. After that, you have to link that group and assign the timing based on that. When all do you want that particular statement to be given to the worker? Workers posted to HR, that is workers information on the change is posted to the HR, or workers posted to HR, or who receives final approval, or any worker in any status. So this is the duration when you want to generate this one change statement. That is what it's defined. It can be in two formats, either in RTF or PDF format.
Okay.
Okay. Statement group, what it is. Let's see that. A statement group is a set of related templates used to generate compensation change statements available within the same plan. Create as many statement groups as you want, but only associate one with the plan. So I want to have, I can create multiple statement groups, but I can only link with only one plan.
Okay.
So that is the thing here. Create 3 templates in different languages, add the 3 templates to a statement group, and add the statement group to a plan. So what happens is, if there is for Chinese language, for English, and any other language, if you consider 2, I will just create these 2 templates and keep it in this statement group. But I will be using this particular statement group only for one particular plan. So there are 2 templates for that. Next is statement template. Statement templates are available to managers who are associated with the plan. The templates are created as RTF files. So when you see, there is a if you create the compensation worksheet, there you have option as communication option tab where you can create a communication. In that case, when a manager goes into that particular tab, he will be able to select that particular configuration change statement. For example, if it is for China, I will have a Chinese template available there. I can just link it there so that all the employees under me will receive that particular change statement. So that is what it is there. There are predefined templates. I will just show you what they are. If you go to the manage statement group, I click manage templates. So if you see the 3 things, these are sample templates. If I click the second one, compensation change statement. So this is downloaded. This is how the change statement looks like. This is a sample one, but when you have it configured for your thing, these names will be automatically changed. Address, all the things will be captured from the core HR, and this will be the review for that. This is available as one option, and
so sorry, the ones that you showed there on the template.
If you want to have it from your company, this thing, you have to upload it here.
So
You have
it should be
to
an
create that
RTF.
particular. Yes, exactly. For loading, you have to load using only RTF only.
Yeah, we have it now. So we
Okay.
have different groups, so we have to create one for different group.
Okay. Okay. So this is the concept regarding this one change statement. I mean, the main reason I have not worked on this, but the concept is like this. I mean, until if you're using this change statement, you have to select the communication tab, which I will show you when we get into the configuration of worksheet. I mean, this is some bug I think in the instance. Even if I say no, it shows up this thing. What I have to do is I have to give it as yes and then as no. Then it goes up.
Oh.
This is about alerts. I mean, let's complete this one. So why are the alerts used? I mean, you can either create custom alerts or use the default alerts which are available. You can use it to notify the managers based on certain conditions. Let's see what are the conditions that are available. Now you can use seeded ones. So these are the seeded actions which are available. So if there is any salary change in HR, you can just give any of the options available here just as information stating that the salary has been changed. Grade change in HR, these all are seeded ones. Worker got terminated. I mean, a manager he will be having this one. I mean, allocation available for particular employee, but when he sees the sheet, he finds out based on the HR information that the worker has been terminated. In that case, I can have it as warning or as error. Warning, not able to find the error option. I don't know why. Okay.
It's important to have an
Let me
error
check that one.
for the options.
Yes, normally it is there. So these are the, I mean, if you see on the right side, you will find the icons that are used. So when you have this one, I mean, display, when the display worksheet, if there is any warning or something, you will only find this icon in that particular place. When you hover the mouse over there, you will be able to find the reason. I mean, what is the reason there? So worker was terminated. Once you hover the mouse over there, you will be able to see message stating that worker was terminated. So these
And
are standard ones.
can you click on the custom alert? Maybe
Which one?
there in the custom alert, I think the type there is an option. I have a feeling that the custom alert has a type error.
Yes, that has, but I don't know why it is not here. Because even here there are options, but I don't know why it's not in here. But here in the custom, so mainly what happens, why we use the errors here is, like for example, if a manager wants to compensate certain amount, so they have a target amount fixed for them, target minimum value or maximum value. So if the range exceeds the target amount, the minimum or this one, they will just have a message stating here. The description is given here, stating that the allocated amount is outside the range of target value. That way, it is used. That message is used. For example, here I have it as error, which prevents me from saving. This is the I can use. Don't know why two fields have come up. Safety. So here when I click the criteria, I will have the edit condition option where I will be able to build a condition. Here, If you see, actually what happens is, actually I cannot use this alert until I complete the next, that is worksheet display option. But I don't know why this particular option comes before this alert. Normally what we do is we complete the worksheet display and all, then we come here to configure alerts.
Yeah.
But in the sequence, it
I
comes
remember even in EBS it's similar. We use the dynamic columns to configure. There are no standard or predefined alerts or conditions. So
okay.
only after you have the entire worksheet designed, then you
Configured,
can
yes,
come and
correct.
configure the alerts.
Yes, but here we have a dynamic column concept available, but it is different for this one. It will be same. I mean, concept is same, but it is separate, and this one is separate. The thing, as you told, is yeah. As you told, I don't know. I mean, I have to complete the configuration for the worksheet. I mean, I want to know what are the columns I am displaying it. Only then I will go and create the alerts, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know why it is coming up like this. I mean, they have configured like this, and we have to use it. So this is if for my new salary after allocating the this one amount. So if that is greater is equal is blank. So these are the options available. Is greater than switch to columns. Either I can give a value here, or I can have it as a column. That is, I am comparing two columns. Where you can have target. Greater than my target maximum amount. So this what happens is it compares like my new salary whether it is greater than the target compensation which I have mentioned. So these columns, the names which are coming up are the columns that are available default in the instance, but we can change the names as we require.
Yeah.
So if I click next, I will have the condition set up like this. So the error will come up if my adjusted salary is greater, new salary is greater than this one, and or right? Yes, or my salary, that is my new salary, is less than my minimum, target minimum amount. Target minimum compensation amount. So I click next. So this is the scenario which is calculated. If it is greater than the target maximum amount, I will get error, or even it is less than the target minimum amount, I will get an error. If I click apply, that's it. This condition comes up here. Triggering event, you can have it as everything. Once you start the compensation cycle, you will have this triggered, or any other option. Normally we select all the three options.
Yeah.
So this is how it is done. So based on whatever requirement or error message you want. So again, the concept is same. If it is error, you won't be allowed to go to the next step unless you change it. If it is warning, you will be intimated about this, but you will be able to save it in spite of warning. So that is the option available. Any doubts here, Prashant? Okay. Let's see next. Yes. Now it comes to the worksheet display. So let's see this. Predefined alerts. Select a predefined alert and edit the name. Yeah. Again, in this one, you don't have to have the same statements. Yeah. Based on your requirement, you can just change the names. That's the only thing. Select the type of icon to display for the alert. There's information alert warning. I don't know why error is not coming up here. I need to check out whether it is a lookup or anything. Let me check out and let you know about that. Then again, there are custom alerts which you will be able to trigger it based on the columns that are available in the worksheet. So these are the options which are available for the alerts, custom alerts. The error type, which is same thing. An error alert stops a manager from saving or submitting the worksheet until the error is resolved.
Yeah.
Create custom alert condition, that is you can edit condition window basic. That's what I briefly about right now. You can use this. Next is review result. Yes, test the condition. And missed out to this one. This is the condition. So what happens is sometimes the condition may error out. So you need to validate. So this comes up. I mean, if there is any error, you will be able to know. Advanced. This is another option which is available. You can directly create it here, or you can create it here. Normally, we start creating it in this place itself. Basic. It just shows you test by test. I mean, line by line, what are you to do. So it is nothing but it is kind of conditions which I create. I mean, selector or done automatically rather than you writing any statement.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we have activity right now. So it is to configure components, performance rating, configure approvals, configure alerts. You can just go ahead. It will take at least half an hour to 45 minutes.
So maybe you can completely configure the display also. Then I can do everything together.
Because configuration display, I don't want to do it right now. The reason is it is like there are many things in that. I mean, for each page there are many things. There is a reason because it takes. I mean, first you have to understand before you do that. That's the reason I don't want you to. Because if you see these all topics comes under the display.
Okay.
So first you complete this, then one by one for the components which you created, and for other things you will have the description about the worksheet display also.
Okay.
That is the reason I didn't want to link that with this.
Sure.
Okay. It will take at least half an hour. Take your time and just let me know once you're completed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. See, the next topic is the main topic which is under compensation. So mainly in compensation, it is budget, if the client is configuring any budget, and then the components configuration part, if you see it is minimal. Next major thing is display of the compensation worksheet. So this is where you do the compensation worksheet configuration. So this is used to configure how the information is displayed on the worksheet. So here we have all the compensation component names, and that each displays what all you want to display for each component, and what are the information of the employees you want to be displayed on the worksheet. So those are the information that are captured in this one. So if you see in the screenshot, there are 10 tabs option available. So whatever you configure in each, if you see the tab display name is available, that is the tab names which will be available once you configure. So these are the tab names, you can give it yourself. So these, you can go up to maximum of 10 tabs to be configured for a composition worksheet. Next, for each composition tab, the type available is, tab type is compensation, promotion, approvals, communication, or detail table. So these are the 5 options. Sorry, there are also one more thing is available. There are normally 6 that are available in the TAN type. I'll check it out. I mean, what is the other one? We'll check it out in the instance directly. So totally it is 10 tabs. If you see, I just want to take you to the other screen. I'll show you where it appears like. If you see in the compensation worksheet,
The performance, I think.
this is the compulsive worksheet. No. If you see in this, yes, correct, performance. One more thing is performance, correct.
Yeah.
So the tabs which you saw, reward, promote, approve, and communicate. These are the tabs that are configured there. Each tabs can be configured. I mean, totally you can have 10 tabs for compensation worksheet of 6 different types. So the tabs which you configure is, this is how it will be displayed in the compensation worksheet.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. So what are the tab types? I mean, what do they define? One is compensation tab. Normally the components which we create, we normally use that particular component under the compensation tab type. So what do you have? Required if you allocate compensation. Summary region displays a summary of data for the component defined to the plan that I will let you know where it comes up. Displays columns you configure. The next one is approval tabs. It is required if you allocate compensation. Summary region displays up to 8 subtabs with analytics. Lists lower level managers and shows the status of their worksheet. Used by higher level managers to approve or reject lower level managers worksheet. Change lower level worksheet managers access to their worksheet. So these are the options which are available if you have approvals tab. That is, if I am a manager, if I have 2 levels of subordinate managers, then in this particular tab, if I go, I can stop that action they perform for that worksheet. That is, there is an option, a drop-down option for this particular plan, whether they can access it or not access it. I can just change that so that my subordinates won't be able to access their direct worksheets. So that is what it is used for. Next, we have communication tab. It is used to generate compensation statement. So once you are having the compensation change statement configured in your instance, unless you configure this particular tab, you won't be able to communicate the compensation statement to your subordinates or employees. So this tab is important if you're configuring compensation change statement.
Okay.
Next is performance tab. It is nothing but to link the talent management performance with compensation. Else, if you have compensation performance rating you are defined, even then you have to enable this particular tab.
Okay.
This is for promotion. Summary region displays a summary of job grade and position changes. Allows you to display the same column that are available on the compensation tab type, but enables the ones related to promotion by default. There's nothing but normally we don't use this particular tab because most of the tabs are captured in the other options itself, other tabs itself. So this is nothing but if you want to have this tab, so what happens is any changes that will be, coming up if a promotion happens like change in job or grade, those tabs will be automatically selected. You won't be able to uncheck those columns. So that is the reason this promotion tab is coming up.
So this is like you want to, if in case you want to do a plan only for promotion.
Correct. Correct.
You only display the promotion tab.
Yes, yes, you can do that today.
Alright.
So next one is detail table. If you see in the compensation worksheet which I showed in the first screen, there is 2 tabs normally. There's summary tab and another is detail tab. Normally everybody creates summary and detail tab in single tab itself. Whereas there is another tab available to capture only the detailed description of the compensation or the employee details. So this last one, detailed table summary, normally the clients or even the consultant don't configure this one because these are not necessary ones, because these everything are captured in another tabs. So if you see on a real-time basis, we have compensation tab which will be captured. We have approvals tab, communication tab, and performance tab. Whereas promotion and detail table tab, it is rarely used. Then the next thing is, so each tab, once you have selected to create it, once you select one more task in that, it will go to defining the columns that you want to display for each tab. So this is the place where you select which column you want or which column you don't want. For example, if you say they have selected the reward tab in the screen, tab name is reward.
Okay.
The reward tab, once they get into this, these are the multiple tabs which are available to configure for that particular reward. Okay, once I get in that, I have summary column, summary tab. This is not displayed here. I will show it when I get into the instance. The summary tab is nothing but it will give you the detail what you want to capture as a summary component. That's it. In the summary field, what are the fields you want to capture, what are the information you want to have. Second, the detail table. Detail table is nothing but it displays all the columns. It is, if you see, there are approximately 300 odd columns available. So all the columns related to employees details, his job, his employment, personal information, all are available. Apart from that, we also have certain columns named as custom columns, and we also have it as custom text columns and custom numeric columns, which we can use for calculation of certain rows or columns available, and to also display extra information. We have history tabs, history options available, notes option available. So all these are available under this particular detail table. So whereas action is the next table, I will just brief you about it. So before getting into it, let's just have a look at the instance first. So configure worksheet displays where we come in. So let's see, let's say that I'm configuring 3 tabs. One for salary increase, I need to enable this tab, only then I will be able to display it in the worksheet. I'm just giving it as this one. Since it is going to be a salary increase, I will give it as compensation. Next, I'm giving it as lump sum bonus. It is 20. Yeah, I can have it as compensation. And third, let me try for reverse. I'm putting it as 30. This approach. I will also try to put performance to be helpful. Performance, and it is 40. Performance. So if you see, I can have one tab for each component, or I can try to put all the thing in single component also. Okay, so let me see what it is. Let me begin with salary increase. In this, we have the summary columns. Let's select this. Okay, before. Okay, this will be let it be So these are the components available. So I will have the detail about the component. What is the name of the component? I just have to change it to salary increase. So I want the details of salary increase. I mean the name of the component. I also want the currency of that component. Who are the eligible people? I want the number of eligible people for this. Workers with compensation who have been already allocated the compensation, or who has how many percentage of workers have who have been already compensated. If out of 100, 10 people have been already compensated, I will have 10 percentage coming up here, stating that 10% of people have been already compensated in this worksheet. So what are the eligible salary, overall eligibility salary, total salary? So these things are nothing but just a summary information about the entire worksheet, about the employees and everything. Let's get into the detailed table. So now this is where I can configure multiple things. So for example, what I did is, let me go back to the front screen once again. Here I have created 4 tabs, right?
Yeah.
If I want, I can just remove all these components like this. I will just disable it and have it as compensation as a single tab.
Okay.
So what happens is, if I have single tab as compensation and get in here, I will have in the worksheet, I will have only one work area. I mean, sorry, only one tab in my worksheet in the front end. So what happens is, in component 1, I will just add this one, details about my salary increase. So I will tell you where you have to do and what is the things you have to do. For this, I will enable or disable whatever the things I want for salary increase thing. Then I will close it. Then I will just go to the second component, that is for lump sum increase, lump sum bonus or something. I will just configure here. Similarly, for performance, I'll just go here. I will link whatever is related to performance here and complete it. So what happens is, in my worksheet, when I go to compensation worksheet, I will only see one tab available named as compensation, whereas all the information will be captured in the detail table below for this particular tab. So that is one option which is available. So normally we do it for customers. I mean, initially when we have a workshop, we try to capture only for one particular tab for all the information about the compensation. Whereas once the client says that it is clumsy or they wanted to distribute can be done or something, we just give one input also that it can be divided into 2 tabs and all. Once they say okay to have it in 2 different tabs, we try to create multiple tabs and provide it to them. So this is by creating single tab. I mean, certain clients may prefer everything to come in the single tab itself. So we try to do that. If I create multiple tabs, then what happens is, for one compensation, here in the detail tab, I will go configure only for component 1.
Yeah.
So actually this component 1 names are coming because I have not created the components here. Normally what happens is, once you have created the component, that component name automatically appears here. Did you understand? I'll show you one second. It's nothing but it comes under this place. Manual configure compensation components, right? Here if you see, I didn't create any component names or anything. That is the reason it is not showing up. If you already created the component name for component 1 and everything, it will automatically show up the names in this particular page. Instead of component 1, it will be salary increase. Instead of component 2, it will be lump sum increase, etc. That way. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing is, for example, if I have multiple tabs, so for salary increase, what I will do is, just go here and do the settings under component 1, because that is what I want to configure in my first tab.
Yeah.
Next, that is done. I will just configure not only that particular, because in that component, that particular component, I want the details of the employees also, right? So what I will do, I will go to that particular task, add whatever the employee details I want, along with that any employment details like his employment number, the manager's details and all. Then even the jobs and all will come under employment, and the component, whichever I want to display for that particular component. So I will enable that. Now, after that is for first tab. Second tab, I get into the second tab now. I go into the second tab. In that, I want only the component 2 details to be displayed, right? So what I will do is, in that detail tab, this option will even come for that second tab.
Yes.
So you don't check or uncheck anything here. Just go to the second tab, second component. This is your second component. You will just enable or disable for this one.
Yeah.
Again, for this is going to be different tabs. So person details needs to be captured in all the tabs. So you have to enable these options also. And next, even in this one, you will have promotion, performance, everything. But if you are wanting that to be in a separate tab, you have to go to the performance, go here, and you won't do anything for these components and all. You just go to the performance and you have to link the performance management overall rating. See, remember I told you that even the section ratings can be captured in each columns.
Yeah.
So these are the options available. For example, I don't only take, this is the history, prior rating and the current rating that is taken. But if you see other thing, overall rating, this is overall goals rating. We have one section named goals, where we get the overall rating for goals. So if you want to display only the goals rating, you want that column to be displayed, you can also have this checked. Or if you want the competency overall rating, it is here, overall competency rating, that can also be checked to display it. Or if you want only the final rating to be displayed, you can just select manage overall, overall rating for that. That's it. Any doubts in this?
No, but I don't know if it's too early to ask. Each
Please.
of these rows has a dynamic column.
Yes, I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
I'm coming to that. Okay, before getting to those things, I will just show you what are the custom columns which are available. So if you see, I think there are nearly 10, totally I think it is 30 custom columns that are available overall.
Then have text.
For 15
have text.
15 text, remaining 15 I think for this one numeric. No, I think more. Yeah, there is also a scenario where we, yes. No, I think 30 numeric are there. And 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, this thing you have to note it down. Just like I came to know only after doing certain projects. Those 46, 47, 48, 49, 50 are nothing but lookup codes. You can enable a certain lookup to have it here.
Okay.
So these are lookups. I don't have the detail right now for which lookup does it come under, but I will just get it and send you a mail.
Yeah.
Then we have details about history, notes, and attachment. where we can have certain attachment based on documents. If the manager has anything, if he wants to share it or something, he can attach it here based on the performance or anything. Then we have notes and also the compensation history. So these are, you cannot configure anything, you can just enable or disable. You cannot configure anything in these three things, four things. Okay, let's get into the quotation part. Yes. Okay, let's see one to one. Summary and details. Enable the columns you want displayed in the summary region and detail table for the tab. Commonly used columns are enabled by default, which can also be disabled. Rename the columns based on your requirements. The display columns which are coming up, as I told you, the sheet ones. If you go here, these names of the columns are seeded ones. These left side, if you see, you cannot change those names, worker name, country or something, but if you want, you can just change it to employee name that way. So that way you can, based on the client's requirement, you can change the display names available. So that is what it says.
I think it's much better in Fusion now than EBS.
Yeah.
EBS,
main as, please.
EBS, in EBS, those names are, EBS we use OA framework. So it uses the names from the view objects, like for example eligibility percentage for option 1, which is component 1 in options or components in Fusion. So it will say PCT, ELEG, OPT1. So it's very difficult to
to understand, right?
yeah, if you're not used to that.
Another thing is, one more major thing here is, for example, in dynamic columns or any other columns, when you're trying to use, for example, which we did for alerts, right? In alerts, we had the column 1, column 2, column 3 and all. If you change the display name here, you will automatically paste those display name there itself.
Okay.
So that is also available. But sometimes because of bug, it may not appear. But normally, the display names which you show it here, that automatically appears during the dynamic column or condition creation and all. So that is the best thing here.
Yeah.
One more thing, it is like if you see compensation and payroll, element creation, those part, everything is equal to EBS. Whereas if you see in Fusion, and if you see the core HR, it is completely a duplicate of this one, PeopleSoft. Yeah. So that's what it is. Okay. Let's see the second part. The detailed table columns are organized into these groups. That's what we saw right now. One is worker person information. There is nothing but to show it here. This is what it is. One is person information, then alerts, then components 1 to 5. That is what it's here. Salary information, promotion information, performance rating, custom columns, and also history notes, etc. So this is what you're talking about. There are two things here. One is column properties that is available, and then one more thing available is dynamic columns. Let's see what are the column properties which are available. What do they define there? So let me begin. Let's see. Let's go with component 1 right now. To show this unit. Component amount 1. Normally this is where we change the details and all. So if you see, these are the tabs which are available, maximum tabs available for any of the columns which are available. in this particular worksheet display option and all. So first is general, where you give the display name. You can either change the display name in the column display directly on the screen, or you can come to the column properties and change the display name here and the sequence on which you want it to be displayed on each worksheet. So that is also given here. So sequence, whether if you want this column to be appeared on the first column as in the worksheet, you can just put it as column number as default sequence as 10. So what happens is, if you see on the right hand column, on the background we have column preview.
Yeah.
If I give it as 1 as default sequence, this particular column name will directly appear on top of worker name.
Yeah.
So that is what this sequence is for. And this rounding rule, you can select from the options available, or you can write fast formula to capture this. You also have fast formula to this. There is a fast formula direct, which is linked to the rounding rules. So once you configure, it automatically takes up. So whether it is this component is a monetary one or a non-monetary one, you have to check or uncheck this one to identify that. If you want numeric separator, you can select this. And one more thing is about the data type for these columns. See, data type for these columns are already predefined. So this component value is going to be a number, so hence it is coming as number. Whereas if you see even in the custom numeric columns or custom text columns, if it is a text, it will automatically, the data type will be automatically displayed as text. So that is one thing. Next is visibility and access. Whether you want that to be, sorry?
I have a question here.
Yeah, please.
So the main compensation amount is actually the amount which is, say for example, component 1, let's assume it's a salary component.
Okay,
so the compensation amount, the display name, or in the background, whatever it is, it's supposed to be the new amount which you're going to enter.
Yes, correct.
Or the increase amount.
Yes, correct. How much amount you want to increase, correct. So see, these columns, will be displayed for all the components. Most of the components actually. All the 5 components, you have similar columns will be coming out.
Yeah.
The column names and all. So this compensation amount hyphen component 1, I have not given any names. So that's the reason you're getting it as component 1. If I had given it as salary increase, it will be component amount hyphen salary increase. So that is how it will appear in the table itself. Okay. So next, second is, are you clear? Any other doubt?
Yeah. I'm clear.
Okay. Now the second, this is about visibility and access. So if I enable this, then it will be displayed in the worksheet. That is one thing. If it is read only, if I click read only, the manager or anybody will not be able to edit that. If I give it as hidden, so it will not be displayed. So that is what it is.
What is initially hidden?
Initially means it will be hidden till you submit the process.
Okay.
So that is what it is. So after, normally for this particular column it is not applicable. So whereas if for any other column, if it is given like that, so when the compensation history is given, the worksheet is available, so initially it will be hidden, whereas once you start the compensation cycle and all, when it goes to display, it will appear in the display, the worksheet. Okay. So that's what it is. And here we have something as override. If you select any option, then it will ask for your role. That is, override column setting on this worksheet based on role by selecting an override value. Overrides apply only to roles added, main column setting, control column, access for all other rules. If you see, not enabled condition, user has any of these roles, user has none of these roles. These are the 2 options which are available. That is, this particular column is not enabled for users who have this particular role. Are you able to understand this one, Prashant? It will be a bit confusing.
Yeah, let me try to get this
Sure.
right. So if it is say for example updatable, if you select the option updatable and then you only select only if you are an administrator or a compensation manager role, then you will be able to update it.
Exactly.
Otherwise,
Exactly.
if you are a
That's
manager, you will not be able to update it.
correct. You are absolutely right. It is this. This is the condition which you have to select. That is, user has any of these rules. That is, if I have line manager, if the line manager, any of them have this line manager role, for them it will be not enabled.
Yeah.
If it is user has none of the role, that is any person if he has line manager role, then this won't be accepted. So that is what this condition you have to select for that. Clear?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just leaving it as it is. Next. This is default value. This is mainly used for what to say, adding the fast formula or giving a default value, anything like that. For example, if the company throughout has decided that I have to give a what to say a lump sum amount of around $100 to all the employees, irrespective of their grade or anything. So what I can do is I will just create this element and a component and just enable this. I will just give a value as 100. That's it. So what happens is, if I run the compensation cycle, it won't wait for the manager to give any rating or anything. I mean the compensation or anything. What happens is this 100 will be automatically assigned to all the employees.
Yeah.
Clear?
So what is
Any doubt on that?
subject to refresh?
I will tell you. I will tell you. There's one more option. I'll just remove this value. There is a task. I mean, when you, yeah, tell me.
No, go ahead.
Now, there is one more task when you go to validate this one comp cycle or start compensation cycle. There are certain tasks you have to select where we have refresh option available, refresh dynamic columns available. So once you select that, what happens is when I refresh this one column, I mean refresh the entire plan, it automatically sits to all the elements for all the employees. So it's a process. So that is what it says. This default value will sit onto that element only when I run this refresh process. That is what it says, nothing else.
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. See, this one, I mean, these things, I mean, until you see and practice, you may not be able to understand because the way I tell it might be confusing enough. But when you start working on it, it will be easier one.
So now I understand this. So if say for example, sir, it's a one-time component and the company decides to pay $150 to everyone.
Correct. Correct.
So you said 150 amount and then you run the cycle. So everyone gets 150 regardless of their salary or whatever.
Exactly.
Then the management decides, oh no, probably 150 is less. We decide to move up by 50 more and then we decide 200. The 200 is only applicable when you run the refresh process.
Correct. You are absolutely right. That's the reason it is used.
Yes.
And next thing, this is one. This one is to add the default and override formula. Normally what happens is this formula you can just remember, forget about this particular column for any other column. For example, you have column name as job available in this particular, this one, what to say, fields available. Job is a default column which can be enabled or disabled by a client. Whereas what happens if they want to display grade? If you see in the employment details, I don't think grade is available. Let's have a check at it. Normally it comes under employment.
Yeah, it is there.
One second, not grade. Let me tell you on business unit. It's available. I mean certain this thing. For example, yeah, job attribute. Yeah.
People group, for example.
Yes, exactly. People group, any other component. For example, if I have any flex field available in JAWS, which I wanted to be displayed here, so for that, there is always a pass formula used to set it as default. That is here. This is the formula type actually. Name of the formula type is default and override formula, normally used to display certain information in the worksheet.
Okay.
That is the main reason this default and override formula is used. To capture from core HR or any other place and put it in the display screen for any of the columns. So this is the main reason of this particular default and override formula.
Okay.
So similarly, if it is, yeah, please.
Is there a standard predefined formula for that, or do we have to define?
Yes, we already have. See, maximum, most of the formulas are already available in the instance as a default one. Whatever, I mean, but I haven't gone through all the formulas or used it as
yeah,
now. But as per the information from the technical team, most of the formulas are available. You just have to tweak it to your requirement. If you see the person number generation or even the, what to say, this one, default and override formula, those are already available in the system.
Okay.
You just have to select the database item based on your element creation or anything so that you can add it up here. So if you directly go and select in the fast formula, even in this page, if you go here, manage fast formulas, you will be able to see the formulas which are already available in the instance. So again, I'm coming to this place. Salad component. Okay, see, we saw up to default values. And here there is one more option, but this one I have not used in any of the clients till now. What happens is, I can, for this particular column, I can reference some other plan and add it here. So whichever I have used previously, so but I don't know how it is used and why it is used. But this is the option it is available because I have not tried it till now. Source plan from which to display this data. So that's what it comes up.
Just to complicate a bit more than what it is right now.
But I think, I don't know, I mean, why it is used, I'm not sure. I mean, even if you want, for example, see, let's see, I'm selecting one plan. Don't know what
maybe they want to show, if I am trying
those informations.
So probably last cycle, how much ever increase.
Exactly, percentage amount I have been given, correct. So that is the reason it is used. I mean, maybe to have the history, I mean, previous amount which I have been, and right now what I am, amount I will be getting. So that's the thing. But I don't know why it is captured in this particular column. Maybe if they want to have it as component 2 as a lump sum amount, okay, and component 1 to display the previous lump sum amount, I think it will be used in that case. I think so. You can select the columns to reference. So this is what, these are the columns available in that particular plan. So that is what it is appearing here. So just select it and give it here. So I'm just cancelling it. Now, next thing is, this is one of the main thing. This particular tab is not necessary. It will be available for all the columns. It is available for specific columns where you want to map the salary component and all. For example, in this column, what I'm doing is, I'm going to, okay,
so
the element.
So there is a bonus amount
exactly
from different currencies, different
correct
groups.
So you will be adding all the elements. I mean, for example, this is the plan, global plan which is available. This plan I'm creating for bonus amount. So what happens is, bonus amount is a this bonus plan is a common plan I'm creating. But how will it sit for each people in different location or different countries? In that scenario, what I will do is, I will create all the elements based on their salary for different country. All the elements I will add it here. So element name is required, whereas the country and LDG is not mandatory, because already for LDG selection, you do that in the element itself when you are creating an element. So it is not mandatory one, but input value is a necessary one. So for that particular element, what is the input value which you have created, you will just add that here. And legal employer, which is also not mandatory, but if you want, you can add it. So this is how this component is linked to element and how it is displayed for the employees. This is one of the main thing. Any doubts on this?
No, but this is giving me different questions now.
Please go ahead.
Just trying to get my head around, because in EBS also we have something like this. But then what we do is, there is a global plan and there is a local plan. For example, now there's a global plan which is created with the corporate currency of Euro.
Okay.
And there are local plans for Netherlands, US and UK. And I created these payroll elements because we have people in each of these countries who have to be paid in different currencies. So I have created these elements in each of these groups, like in the UK and in the Netherlands. But not, and they're all under the local plans, not under the global plans. So how does it work?
No.
The local and global in Fusion. I'm still not able to get that part.
See, what happens is, if it is going to be local, I mean, it depends upon the client's requirement. If they feel that all be used for this same, for example, this can be considered regarding the period dates available. Okay. See, for example, if for India, I am going to use the plan from 1st of Jan to 31st of December, I can have one plan. Whereas for US, if I am going to have in financial year through, then I will have one more plan with the date as 1st March 2014 to 1st April 2014 to 31st March 2015. So that can be one scenario, so that I can create two different plans. Okay. If everything is going to be same and the lump sum, everything I can give it based on the single this requirement and all, then I can just have one single plan without any particular verification for different countries. I can run this, use this plan. Just I have to use this components to add the element, which in the element itself you will be asked to give the currency or LDG. Remember? That LDG is given, then that can be given, and directly, I mean, once the compensation is run, the cycle is run, and once the amount is allocated by the the manager, this amount will automatically go and sit in the element for each employee.
So just to get it in my words, then in our situation, if I have to do it in Fusion, there will only be one plan. There will be no global or local plan.
No, if they require. See, for different countries, if they require, no, if the client says, I want separate plan for separate countries, then there's no other go, I have to create separate.
Yeah,
but it is sufficient to have a global plan.
Yeah. And then even if they ask, we want to have separate plans, but they will create one plan each per country, but there is no plan which is holding all these together on the
Exactly. You are correct.
So they are independent.
Correct. They become independent. Because one thing where I can restrict from the security point of view is, one is eligibility profile, which I can restrict it with. That is a place where I will just give eligibility profile for each country based on legal entity or the country.
Yeah.
So in that case, for India person, he won't be able to see the compensation plan related to US, whereas a person in US won't be able to see compensation related to India.
Yeah.
So one more thing, I will just give you an example about how the global plan is structured and all. As I told, I was working in Alcoa. So what happened is, they had 32 countries, whereas they had nearly for around 8 to 9 regions. Totally they divided those 32 countries into. What we did is, initially when we were testing, we only had plan for US, Mexico, and Canada initially, and we just used to enter 3 elements in this component area. That is US lump sum element, and Mexico and Canada lump sum element, and we are testing it. Whereas when it came for a testing purpose by the client side, what we did is we just duplicated this plan where we have it in the this one, right, in the beginning of managed plan. We just duplicated that, changed the name to for example, if it is for Asian region, we just change that name to annual compensation plan -Asia, and attach the elements related to Asian countries like China, and even China and Japan, India, Pakistan, all the countries are mentioned. Those elements were created and added here, and those was allocated. I mean, we just ran the plan and gave it to the client. So those employees who are sitting in the Indian region, I mean, they would use this particular plan, that is Asia plan. Though the configuration will be same except the element part, they used to do all the testing related to Asian countries. And one team used to sit in US, they used to run it for US. After all, we got go ahead from all the testing team from the client side. Then what we did, we had an annual, I mean, ultimate one super plan which is available. We added all the elements related to that particular plan. That's it. So testing purpose, we created multiple and gave it to them. Whereas to have a common thing for to be run for the client, we had only one common plan. So this is how it would also help them.
Okay.
One more thing, I don't know, it's missing out here. I'm not sure it is not coming. Even the element is not showing up here. Let me see for component 2. It's not coming out. Okay. Let me tell you one more thing here. If you see in the component amount, compensation amount, component 1 or component 2, normally it will ask, there are 2 options available. I mean, this here you only saw the element name, right?
Yeah.
So actually what it comes is, you have 2 options that will come up. One is whether you want to have it as salary. It normally comes here, yes. Either as salary, yes or no. If I put it as salary, so what happens is, it will use it as increase in salary. It is not coming up here, but when we configure it will work out, I think. That is, for example, salary increase. I am not going to have separate element for that, right? So I will configure this particular column. For example, that is, if I give 1000 here, my salary will automatically increase by 1000.
But do you do it for eligible salary, or you do it for compensation amount?
Sorry, I'm wrong place. The compensation amount, sorry. It is in the compensation amount. I'm not getting it because it is not configured properly. That is the reason. We will try when we configure. So once you go to element mapping, there will be 2 options, as salary or not. If you select it as salary, yes, then you have the salary details coming up. You will just mark it and upload it. That's it. Whereas if you say no, then you will get the this one, element mapping details, for which element you want to do. For example, I'm repeating it. If it is for salary increase, then you can select here as salary, yes, and do the configuration. If you are going to give it as lump sum or anything like that, you can just select the salary option as no, and give the lump sum amount, whichever you want, and link the particular element to this particular column. So that is the main purpose of this. If you see, there are many columns available. I mean, for each thing, compensation amount minimum, compensation percentage minimum. There are maximum available, even the target compensation amount. So these, each thing are used for each purpose. I mean, all are not mandatory ones, but based on your requirement, you can have it.
Yeah.
Miscellaneous rate 1, 2, or 4, I mean, what to say, to use it for your calculation or for adding extra information or anything, you can just change the names here and give the display name. So that is for this. So next, let us have a look at dynamic column. So if what I'm doing is, if I want to give anything else, total cost, normally it doesn't come in the miscellaneous. Let me go and check it for custom. Normally we do dynamic columns for custom columns or for any other columns whichever is required normally. So it is calculation, so we use numeric. If I want to have total cost of this entire, I mean salary and also what to say, lump sum amount and everything, if I want to calculate that, what I do is, I go to dynamic column. You have dynamic column concept in this one, EBIS?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is same. I mean, maybe you use the SQL right there?
No, it's a similar concept. We just pick the columns and do the conditions or calculations we are required.
So it is same concept. There are two things. I mean, normally people who don't know about this, we make them understand that fast formula and dynamic columns are completely different things. Dynamic columns are used to calculate one row, column A plus column B into equal to column C for that purpose. Whereas fast formula is used to capture any information from outside this particular worksheet. Whereas dynamic columns are only related to the worksheet columns which are already available. So here, dynamic if you want to,
columns are actually runtime, right? Like if you're doing an activity on the worksheet, then
it automatically comes up. Correct. Correct. Even there are triggering events option available. If you want to, even here you will see refresh data, which you saw it for the other. Remember the default one.
Yeah.
So similarly, we have comp cycle when you do the comp cycle or change worksheet data or something. So here what we have, if I don't want to give any condition, I will just click it. The condition option goes off, and I will just type the result. That is here what we captured is total cost, right? So I will just add the names of the columns. That is my annual salary. We'll have equation here. So now just select a column. That is my annual salary, current plus current, done. Okay. One second. Current plus one more column that can be my component compensation amount. If you see, there are 5 values here. Select one compensation amount and then equal. That's it. Validate. It's working fine. And apply. For this particular column, I will get the value for this plus this. So this is how we do the dynamic columns here. If you want any conditions to be specified, you can just select the condition. I will just show you what are the condition options available. See. And certain things, if you see, for certain places we don't have dynamic columns. Certain columns you can't hide. For example, let me have a look at this one. I mean, this normally you will come to know only once you start working on certain things. So an FT option is available. Need to check. Some options like FTE full-time equivalent. Don't think that is it. You can hide that. Yes, let me have a check. I had a option, I don't know for which one. I got information from one of my lead stating that this particular column we are not able to hide or something. Sorry, they wanted to be enabled, they don't want it to be read only. They wanted to be kept as read only alone. That option is not available for FT. We don't know why this is missed out. They wanted it to be read only client, but we informed them that option is not available.
That's strange, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what.
Even
the same thing. Yes. You see visibility access. For certain columns, it is not available. I don't
Or is
know
it
why.
by default? No, this is based on
Read
the
only.
change amount, so this would be.
By default, read only. That's what you're telling.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about it.
Or probably because this is salary information.
Correct.
Which is what
so maybe
only displayed.
Okay. I need to check it out. I mean, some issue came up and we told it is not workable. I mean, it was not coming out option. What it is, I don't remember exactly. So this was, I mean, it was related to FT. So it's going to show up for the custom vector. So conditions you can have you can display the condition based on the similar this one criteria, which we similarly we had for this one, right? For our alerts. Similarly, we can build the condition here based on this. And based on this condition, if it is satisfied, then it will go to this particular calculation. So this is where the this dynamic column is used. Next, after this every configuration, we have something as actions. We go here. These are the actions which you can select or unselect based on the requirement, like manager default worksheet display, or he can save it. You can save this particular. So there are multiple. I mean, this normally we don't change, add new actions available to it. We normally remove. For example, freezing the column and all. There is an option for freezing the column. So if I remove this, then this particular action won't be available for this particular comp. So that is what it is. We'll see that. I mean, you just remember apply target, detach worksheet, or freeze columns. These are nothing but the options which are available on the screen to do certain activities. So if you uncheck this, those things won't be available. That's it.
Okay.
Then information is nothing but information about this particular component. If you want to mention anything, it will be displayed on the worksheet. Okay. Want to take 10 minutes break, Prashant?
Yeah.
Okay. So we will meet after 10 minutes then. Then after that you may have to take one long hour, right?
Yeah.
No problem.
It's around 4 o'clock.
Yeah. So it is. We'll just meet after 10 minutes. I think it will be continued after that. But no problem. We will try to finish up. No problem. Okay?
Okay.
Let's meet after 10 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll just go through the theory part of that particular column displays and all. And then there is an activity. We'll look into that. Let's complete this one. So this is about the column properties, which we had that gray button which is available. So these are the different tabs available for that column properties. One is general tab, which configures the display storage of data, for example, whether rounding rule or what is the data type. So those things are captured in general tab. Default values, specify settings that control the default values for the display. Then we have element mapping. Identify how to transfer approved compensation awards to HR for component columns. You can post, this is what I was talking about. You can post the compensation as an adjustment to base pay and option link it to a salary component, or you can also link it to as a element. If the compensation is a lump sum payment, you can add the payroll element to use to pay the award. So this is where the element mapping, you have the option of whether it is salary yes or no. Once you click yes as a salary, then you will be left it as blank, and if you are selecting no for salary, then you will have an option to add the element for that. And again, we have one more thing as information tab, which is available, which can be enables you to add information about that particular component, which will appear when manager hovers over a help icon that appears after the column header. Now one thing, and next, this is about the action. There are two other tabs available for configuration. One is action tab and restriction tab. Action is not, but it enables action you want managers to be able to perform when allocating compensation. Actions are specific to the tab you are selecting, that is compensation, approvals, performance. Those are the tab type which you select when you create the tab, correct? So those places, these actions for each tab, there is nothing but for each tab types which you select. Now, for this compensation, the action will be different, whereas approvals, that action will be different.
Yeah.
So here we don't have actions itself for approvals. So here actions, the options available for actions, here it will be different when compared to the compensation component you select. So that is what it says. If it is for compensation, it will be different, the actions tab. So that is what it is saying about. Now we have, this is about the dynamic columns, which we mostly covered now. So these are the options available in the dynamic columns. One is evaluation order, how do you want to trigger it. These are the options available, whether to trigger when the start compensation cycle process starts, or refresh data process starts, or when manager enters or changes the data in the worksheet. So these are the options available to trigger the event for dynamic column. Then default expression and create dynamic calculations. Now these are available. These are explanations for each options which are available in dynamic columns. So next we have activity to configure this worksheet display. So you can do this after I complete the reports and modeling. I'll just take you to the modeling now. See, modeling is nothing but it is used to either calculate your budget amount, overall budget, or you can use this modeling to allocate the compensation amount to these employees. Two purposes for this one. So let's see one by one what this talks about modeling. Manager modeling. If modeling is enabled for manager, you can decide if they can create their own models or only use models created by compensation professionals. This modeling is nothing but it is like a calculation condition. So you will know when we work on that. So either a manager can create his own model, or he can use the model used by the compensation administrator or compensation professional. That is nothing but compensation manager. That is, He can also create, a compensation administrator or manager can create a model that is public or private. If it is public, then all the managers can access it and use the model. Next is you can give access to managers to create a model or not. See, model as a concept, it's not available in eBiz, right, Prashant?
Yeah, it's something
Okay.
new.
Okay, I will tell you
Maybe
what
they
it
have
is.
renamed it.
Okay. I will tell you what it is. Just when you go to the screen. So model sharing, you can decide how the model creator can share the model. That's what I was telling you about. Restrict the model to only the person who is creating it, or allow the model to be shared with all managers. Allow the managers to share the model only with direct reports. So let's see what is the model now. So if you go to the instance, let's go into the next tab. So this is not a mandatory one. Again, if you want to enable model, you can just disable it. You can just give it no. If you want modeling to be used, you can give it yes.
Did you, in your experience, did you configure this?
Yes, it was used. I'll tell you what is the purpose of that. So roles with model access, whom do you want the model to be accessed? Either all the managers can access it or only the administrator want to use it. You can use it. Mainly it was in my project, it was used by the administrator, not all.
Okay.
Managers can create their own yes or no. If you give access to yes, the managers can create the models. So these are the purpose of models. That is, I will tell you one by one. See, this one is limit models across to model creator. That is, only the administrator can create it or whatever it is. Share this model for all managers. Share the model with the creator or direct reports. So sharing, that is whom all do you want to create it. Either you want the managers to create it or manager subordinate to create it. That is the purpose. Here you won't be able to understand the concept of model here because the reason is I have not configured any component. So what I will do is I'll just go to a plan that has been already created. I don't know which is. Yes, do I see here? See, yes. Let's see here. If you see, these are the two components created in this particular plan: cost of living and merit. So what happens is I can select any of these options available. One is sharing of the manager, second is model usage. What is the purpose of creating this model? Apply as actual compensation amounts in the worksheet, or apply as budget, or apply as target amount. This is the purpose of model usage. If I select only for compensation amounts in the this one worksheet, so what will happen is there are multiple options you can select here. For example, if I enable cost of living checkbox here, that is allocate n% of eligible salary. If I select this, so forget about all the other options which are available. So what happens is, if I go to the model, create model here, then I will have option for cost of living, that particular column coming in. There are certain criteria that will be available. So if you select the criteria, once I select the criteria, I will be asked to give amount. For example, the criteria can be like jobs or business units or departments. Those all are our examples of criteria. So what happens is, in the criteria, if I select job, so what I will do is, for HR managers, I want to give them as 5% of overall salary. So for whoever's job is HR manager, they will automatically get a compensation of 5% of their salary as a cost of living. The another main use of this one is, this modeling is, if there is performance rating which is configured as a criteria, then what happens is, if I select the criteria as performance rating, then I have all the ratings coming up in the below screen, below page, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. In that, I can give for 5, I will give 10%. For 4 rating, I will give 3%. For 2 rating, I will give 1% or that way. In that scenario, what happens? Whoever has got 5 rating in their performance, this one appraisal, they all will get 10%. If you want to add multiple criteria, that is, one is performance rating, second is department. That is, for rating of 5 for IT department, I want to give 10%. For rating of 5 for HR department, I will give only 5%. So that way, I can also market and give a bulk amount. So not only in that, even for budget calculation, as you see in this above scenario, that is not only for compensation amount, it is also used for applying budget. That is, from the HR department, if the criteria is department, from HR department, I want to use the overall employees 2% as the budget amount. Whereas for IT department, I want to use 5% of their overall salary as budget amount. So that option is selected in the modeling. Are you able to understand this one, Prashant? Prashant, are you there?
Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard everything. So it's like segregating and templating.
Exactly. So segregating and allocating, actually.
Yeah.
That's all. That is the main purpose of that. So allocation, the options of allocation is this one which you are showing it here. These options. So there are multiple things. Increase a quartile, increase decile, etc., etc. So there are multiple. I mean, we don't use all the things available. So mostly use this one, first and second one. And also the ninth, 8th, 9th, those items. For example, increase amount by n%. That is, whatever value I give it that will be calculated as a percentage of that one. Or I can directly give as amount, direct amount to that one. So this is, it will be like, mainly when you start using it, you will be able to understand that.
Yeah.
Next, these are next topic, that is reports. We have many delivered reports available for compensation, but if the client requires certain reports apart from this one, then you go for OTBA reports. OTBA reports are separate topic as such. Once you create that report, you can just create this and just link that particular report here in this one, so that the manager will be able to view that. So I'm not covering it because it is a separate topic. It is part of technical one. Whereas these reports are average allocation, everything. These are seeded ones. If you want to select, you can just select and add it here. Else you can just uncheck those to have it as disabled. Next. And these are the report dimensions. So the options which you select will also come in the model criteria. Remember, I was telling about different criteria which are available in the models, which you can select to do that. So these are the criteria that will be reflecting, which you select here. So you have multiple things. You can select it. And with this, we come to end. And these are the report options which are available, which are the columns you want to add and all. Filter option. That's it. With this, we come to end of the compensation configuration. This validation and start compensation cycle, we can do it after you come back, if you're okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we will continue at, so you can simultaneously complete the configuration if possible.
Yeah, okay. I have done a bit. I've gone up to creating the, I've created the, what do you call it?
Worksheet?
I am defining the layouts.
Oh, okay, great. Worksheet display.
Questions.
Yeah. Yeah, tell
I'll
me.
call you. This is like if I have to put together. I have created say like 4 components.
Okay.
Sorry, I created 3 components. One is salary, one is other components, probably a adjustment or whatever, and the third one is the bonus. So I put them
Okay.
into 3 different layouts,
Uh-huh.
and each one has a different calculation, right? But in the end, if I want to calculate a combination of say component 1 and 2
Uh-huh.
to calculate together and display
Mhm.
in one of the dynamic columns,
Okay.
how do you,
How
because
to be done? Okay. I
how,
will tell
yeah,
you. You want it to be displayed in a new column, right?
yeah,
Correct? So what I will be doing is, I want to select at which component I want to have that, in which page, in which tab first one is.
yeah,
Okay, whether I want it in salary page, salary tab, or I want it in other components tab, or I want it in the bonus tab, which tab I want. Go to
yeah,
that particular tab, select that particular, go to that particular tab, and go to the custom column,
yeah,
custom numeric column.
yeah, I've done that.
Go to the dynamic column of that, custom numeric column, then add those component names which you want to add on. In that, leave the condition as default.
Yeah.
Select the this one dynamic. Yeah, tell me.
So what I'm seeing there is
Uh-huh.
component amount, component amount, component amount, and component amount. I don't know which one is.
Okay. Okay, I
Yeah.
got it. What you do is, once try to save this particular whole thing and come back and then try to get in.
I thought so. So that was my.
Yeah. Yes,
That
yes.
was my point. Yeah.
Sometimes it comes out. Sometimes what happens is even if you do that, it won't work. Next day it will work fine. That's something. It comes out like that.
Okay. All right.
That's
So
that's the thing.
I've done most of it. So I'll continue.
Okay.
Once I come back, I'll see. I'll complete the rest and I'll check
Okay.
with you if you're. Look, what is it for tomorrow we have?
Tomorrow is after this we run here today. We'll try to action. What are the action managers can perform?
Yeah.
And the compensation workers can do that. What all the activities they can do and how it appears in the display page.
Yeah.
And also we'll try a bit about total compensation statement also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like what we have done in talent management, you've given us a sample configure.
Yeah. Yes.
Would you be able to have one for compensation if possible?
You want to take that performance document you're talking about?
No, you've given me, you've given us workbook for talent management when we configure.
Okay. Yeah, I will give it. I will share it with you. That will be easy. That will be easy for you to understand. I can give one, but in that this one is not available. Budget, is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's okay. I can try and do the. It's just that I know the entire concept. If you have a document, it will help much better.
Sure. I will share it with you. No problem. Yeah.
Okay, Sanjay. I'll have to leave now.
No problem.
I'll let you know once I come back because I've already done 50% of exercise for activity for the setup. I'll do the rest as you said and see where I stand and I'll update you. Then accordingly we can take it from there.
How much time you need? 1 hour or more than that?
It's about. I have to go to a friend's place, pick them because they have a small baby. They're going to India now. So I have to take them to the airport. So probably it takes about 20 minutes drive from here to the airport, but I have to go to his place. So roughly about an hour and an hour. 1.5 hours.
Okay. No issue. Then we will take 1.5 hour break or more.
Yeah.
I'll come back at 5:30 then. Okay?
All right.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. See you later.
Okay. Bye. Bye.